So Dave Ramsey is a legend in the world of personal finance, retirement tips, and reaching financial freedom. He's a household name who's guided millions out of debt. But what if I told you some of his most famous advice might actually be costing you money or slowing down your financial progress? That's right, there are key areas where I believe Dave's guidance doesn't just miss the mark, it could be holding you back from achieving true financial freedom. In today's video, I'm pulling the curtain back on 5 major points where I disagree with Dave Ramsey. We'll dive into his strategies, challenge conventional wisdom, and explore alternative approaches that might better suit your financial journey. From rethinking debt to smarter investment tactics, get ready for a candid conversation that could transform the way you handle your money. So if you ever question whether Dave's one-size-fits-all advice is right for you, or you're curious about different paths to financial success, stick around. This is a video that you don't want to miss. So Dave Ramsey claims that you don't need a credit score to live your life, but that's not realistic in today's world. See, years ago, a good friend of mine, Laura, was 29 years old. She was a graphic designer, and Laura followed Dave's advice and avoided all credit. She lived strictly on cash. But when she decided that it was time for her to buy her first home, she realized that having no credit was just as bad as having bad credit in the eyes of lenders. She qualified for a mortgage, but her interest rate was much higher than the rate of her friends and her peers who had built strong credit history over time. And over the life of a $300,000 mortgage, Laura would end up spending more than $50,000 just in interest compared to those who had good credit. See, good credit isn't just about borrowing money. It's about proving your financial reliability. So whether you're renting an apartment, getting a car loan, or even setting up utilities, a solid credit score can make your life significantly easier and cheaper. Dave believes that just by having credit or leveraging credit card points in some way leads to more spending, which can be true. But if you are disciplined, which you should be, if you do use credit in any form, it should help you over time and not hurt you. Now, as a financial advisor who's been helping people retire comfortably for nearly 20 years, I've seen a lot of financial strategies come and go. But there's one piece of advice from Dave Ramsey that I just can't get behind: paying off debt before investing. Now, don't get me wrong, eliminating debt is very important, but this approach can actually cause you to miss out on significant financial growth. Let me show you a real life example. I've had the privilege of working with multiple generations within families, and recently, the son of one of my long-term clients, Mark, came to see me. Mark is a 32-year-old engineer that had some questions about his financial situation. See, he was laser focused on wiping out his $15,000 in student loans that had a 4% interest rate. He planned to tackle this debt before contributing anything to his company's 401k because he was following Dave's guidance to the letter. But here's the issue. Mark's employer offered a 5% salary match on 401k contributions. Now, by not investing, he was essentially leaving free money on the table. After we discussed his options, Mark realized the significant opportunity that he was missing out on. He decided to start contributing $5,000 a year to his 401k. Not only did he receive an additional $5,000 every single year from his employer's match, but over just 5 years, the combined investment grew to over $55,000 thanks to the power of compound interest. Meanwhile, he continued to make student loan payments without overextending his budget. This story highlights a crucial point. While paying off debt is extremely important, ignoring low interest debt like student loans at 4% to pass up opportunities like a 401k match is a financial misstep. Now, high interest debt should absolutely be a priority, but balancing debt repayment with investing can maximize your wealth-building potential and set you up for a more secure financial future. Now, Dave Ramsey constantly champions mutual funds as the ultimate investment choice, but let's take a closer look at that advice. While mutual funds have their merits and can certainly be a part of a solid investment strategy, it's important to recognize that exchange trade funds, or ETFs, offer significant advantages that Dave seems to downplay. First off, let's talk about fees. Mutual funds, especially actively managed ones, typically come with higher expense ratios that can eat into your returns over time. According to a 2022 report by Morningstar, the average expense ratio for mutual funds was around 0.5%, whereas ETFs average closer to 0.2%. You might think, what's the big deal about a fraction of a percent? But over the long term, those fees add up. For example, if you invest $100,000 over 20 years with an average annual return of 7%, a mutual fund with a 1% expense ratio would grow to approximately $324,000. In contrast, an ETF with a 0.2% expense ratio would grow to about $380,000. That's a difference of $56,000 of money that's going to stay in your pocket as opposed to going towards fees. Now, mutual funds, they're not inherently bad. They do offer professional management that can be beneficial for investors who prefer a hands-off approach or access to specific investment strategies not readily available in ETFs. Some mutual funds have a strong track record and may outperform the market, especially in niche sectors where active management can add value. However, ETFs bring additional benefits beyond lower fees. They're generally more tax efficient due to their unique structure, which minimizes capital gains distributions. A study published in the Journal of Financial Planning in 2020 highlighted how ETFs can reduce your tax liability compared to mutual funds and enhancing your after-tax returns. So by focusing exclusively on mutual funds, Dave's promoting a one-size-fits-all strategy that might not be optimal for everyone. In today's dynamic financial landscape, clinging to traditional advice without considering newer and potentially more efficient investment vehicles could limit your wealth building potential. So you got to strike a balance here. Mutual funds, they have their place, especially if you're looking for specific investment management or are within retirement accounts where tax efficiency is less of a concern. But it's essential not to overlook ETFs, which often provide similar diversification benefits at a lower cost and greater tax efficiency. In the end, diversifying not just your portfolio, but also the types of investment vehicles that you use can be a smart approach. Just don't let outdated or one-dimensional advice keep you from exploring other options that might better suit your financial goals. It's your money. Make sure it's working as hard as possible for you. Now, Dave Ramsey often proclaims that the S&P 500 averages 12% annual returns, but let's be honest, that figure is not just optimistic, it's misleading and could be detrimental to your financial future. Because relying on a 12% return sets unrealistic expectations and might leave you unprepared when it matters most. Here's a reality check. Historical data from Standard & Poor's shows that the average annual return of the S&P 500 from 1926 to 2024 is closer to 10%, not 12%. And that's before adjusting for inflation. When you factor in inflation, the real average return drops to about 7%. Those few percentage points might not seem significant, but over the long term, they can make a huge difference in your retirement. Overestimating investment returns isn't just an innocent mistake. It can seriously undermine your financial security. It might lead you to save less than you need, overspend in the present, and ignore the inherent risks of market volatility. Financial experts, including those at Morningstar and Vanguard, often suggest using a more conservative estimate, typically between 6 and 8% for long-term planning. This accounts for inflation, market swings, and economic uncertainties. Dave's insistence on a 12% return isn't just overly simplistic, but it's potentially harmful. By promoting an unrealistic expectation, he's setting people up for a disappointment and financial gaps in the future. It's crucial to base your retirement planning on realistic, historically grounded figures. Doing so not just prepares you for the inevitable ups and downs of the market, but also ensures that you're not caught off guard when your investments don't meet overly optimistic projections. Don't let inflated return assumptions jeopardize your financial future. Question overly rosy projections and ground your plans in reality. After all, it is your retirement on the line, so make sure that your strategy is as solid as possible and as realistic as possible. And last but not least, Dave Ramsey is a big fan of the debt snowball method, which means paying off your smallest debts first to get some quick wins and build momentum. But let's be honest, while it feels great to wipe out a debt, this approach can actually cost you more money and stretch out your debt repayment journey. And picture this, you've got 3 debts on your plate. You've got a $5,000 medical bill at a 4% interest rate, an $8,000 car loan at 6%, and $15,000 of debt on a credit card at 18%. And if you go with the debt snowball method, you'd start by knocking out that $5,000 medical bill because it's the smallest balance. Now sure, you're scratching off a debt and it feels awesome to check that off the list, but here's the catch. While you're busy paying off that low interest debt, your high interest credit card balance is growing like crazy because of that 18% interest rate. And by the time you go to tackle that credit card debt, you might have shelled out thousands of dollars more in interest than if you just focus on that first. Not exactly the best use of your hard-earned money now, is it? Now let's look at a strategy that can actually save you some money. It's called the debt avalanche method. This strategy has you prioritize debts based on their interest rates, so you'd attack that huge 18% credit card debt before anything else. And here's some solid backing for this approach. See, financial experts agree that paying off high interest debt first is the most cost-effective strategy. Now, according to a study in the Harvard Business Review, while the debt snowball method can provide short-term motivation, the debt avalanche method actually minimizes the amount that you pay over time. So you're not just getting out of debt, you're doing it in the smartest way possible. So you gotta ask yourself, do you want the quick satisfaction of paying off a small debt, or do you want to save money and get out of debt sooner? Dave's method banks on the emotional high of quick wins, but it doesn't account for the extra cash that you lose by letting high interest debt linger. And the bottom line is, if you're serious about ditching your debt efficiently, the debt avalanche method is the smartest way to do it. It might not give you the instant gratification, but your wallet and your future will be glad that you took that advice as opposed to Dave's. And don't let the allure of quick wins distract you from making the best decision for your long-term financial future. So there you have it, 5 key areas where I think Dave Ramsey's advice might not be the best fit for everyone. So personal advice isn't one size fits all. As your financial situation becomes more complex, generic advice might not cut it anymore. And we understand that applying these concepts to your own life can feel overwhelming. And that's why we're offering personalized financial planning tailored specifically to you. With nearly 20 years of experience helping people retire comfortably, our team is here to provide guidance that fits your unique goals. Our mission as a firm is simple: to help 1 million people plan their retirement. It's a driving force behind everything we do, and this personalized planning offer is a key part of that vision. We want to make sure that you have the tools and strategies to achieve your retirement that you deserve. So click the link in the description below to get started. Let's work together to build out a plan that's right for you and customized to you and your family. There's no pressure, no gimmicks, just straightforward advice designed with you in mind. And lastly, I want to hear from you. What do you think about these points? Do you agree with Dave? Do you agree with me? What are your experiences? Drop a comment below and let's get the conversation started. If you found this video insightful, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the future videos that will help you on your path to your retirement. Thank you for watching. I will catch you in the next one.